Hello, this is the BBC News with Fiona MacDonald. At least 12 people are now known to have been killed in a Russian missile strike on an apartment block in the central Ukrainian city of Dnipro. Dozens of others were injured when part of the 9-storey building was reduced to rubble. Rescuers are searching for survivors. Paul Adams is there.
This was one of the worst attacks here in Dnipro in many months. We don't know what Russia was aiming at or even exactly what caused the damage. But whatever it was, a Russian missile or perhaps something intercepted overhead by Ukrainian air defense, it tore into this apartment building, carving a great gaping hole. Rescue workers and volunteers worked frantically for hours trying to find survivors. But as night fell, the official number of those killed or injured began to rise inexorably.
More than 80,000 demonstrators have protested in the Israeli city of Tel Aviv for the second consecutive Saturday against proposed changes to the judiciary. The protesters, who included a cousin of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, called the reforms an attack on democracy. Banners referred to the new coalition led by Mr Netanyahu as a government of shame. Asaf Steinberg was one of the demonstrators.
I came here to demonstrate against the anti-democratic steps of the new governments in Israel. They are trying to destroy the democratic structure of the Israeli state. They are working against the Article of Independence that is the basis of the Israeli democracy, and this can be the start of the end of the Jewish state as we know it.
Mexico has brought into force one of the strictest anti-tobacco laws in the world. It includes a total ban on smoking in all public spaces. The move also bans tobacco advertising and imposes tighter restrictions on vaping, particularly indoors. The legislation extends a 2008 law that created smoke-free spaces in bars, restaurants and workplaces to public spaces across the country, including parks and beaches. Around 25 million residents in California remain under a flood watch as a new winter storm moves steadily southward in the US state. The state authorities say at least 7 waterways have flooded and about 30,000 people have been ordered to evacuate their homes, mainly in coastal parts of northern and central California. The state governor, Gavin Newsom, urged people to remain vigilant.
The challenges present themselves over the course of the next few days rather acutely, particularly because everything's saturated, particularly because the grounds are overwhelmed. What may appear less significant in terms of the rainfall may actually be more significant in terms of the impacts on the ground and the flooding and the debris flows. So we have to maintain that vigilance. And I would just suggest this, it's, common sense.
World News from the BBC. A 7-year-old girl has suffered life-threatening injuries in a suspected drive-by shooting near a church in central London. 3 women were also injured. Police said the shots were believed to have been fired from a moving vehicle. The incident occurred as a requiem mass was taking place inside the church. The White House says more classified documents have been discovered at President Biden's family home in the state of US Delaware. Mr Biden's lawyer said they were immediately handed to Department of Justice officials. A special counsel has been appointed to investigate Mr Biden's mishandling of the classified documents, which number around 20. Supporters and former players of Santos Football Club in Brazil have paid heartfelt tributes to the late football star Pelé in their first official match since his death 2 weeks ago. Pelé made his professional debut at Santos in 1956. Leonardo Rocha reports.
The club has unveiled its new shirt, which will from now on feature a crown above its badge. It's a reference to O Rei do Futebol, the king of football, as the Brazilian supporters commonly refer to Pelé. Before the match at the historic Vila Belmiro ground, players from his generation at Santos placed a crown on the pitch, and 10 minutes after the start, play was stopped for a huge round of applause. Pelé scored more than 1,200 goals in his career, most of them wearing the famous Santos number 10 shirt. He won countless titles for the club, as well as 3 World Cups for Brazil.
Archaeologists in Egypt have unearthed an ancient royal tomb in the southern city of Luxor, thought to date back 3,500 years. It was found on the west bank of the River Nile, the site of the famous Valley of the Kings. Archaeologists say some of the inscriptions had been destroyed by ancient floods, which had filled the burial chamber. And that's the latest BBC News.